Hey, what's up guys? So welcome back to another topic. So in this video I'm going to cover about the search, right? So as explained in this whole series, we will work on different filters. As you have seen that in my very first video, you have seen the filter, right? So we have covered a lot of things here. We first add the data using the factory and the seeders. We will add the data using database seeders, and also we have work on the pagination. As you have seen that once I click on here, you see the data changes and without page refreshing, right? So this is all have been done using AJAX and jQuery, right? So now in this video we are going to cover about how we want to do search, and we will do search on based off name, right? So there you see we have multiple names, right? So once I type up here anything which I type something related to which matches up with the name, right? So that's gonna show me the one single card depending on the matching record. So it can be more than one, or depending on the data stored in our database, right? So that's what we are going to cover here. And if you're very new for this series and directly comes here, still it's fine, but I prefer to watch the first video. I want to give this code in the description so you can download and start working from there, right? So that's what you can step by step understand how we have covered up the things, right? And then after covering that, we will have our select boxes, which we will do in our next video. So there we go. So let's start with the first thing. So I'm going to open up my code using VS Code, Visual Studio Code. And I normally working right from the first day, and I just shown you the way. And even if you're very new in Laravel, and still it's fine, you can watch my series. I want to give the link in the description for Laravel. Right, so Laravel is very popular and famous, so I'd suggest you to keep learning if you're very new for that. It has very good future. I know a lot of people bash PHP and for some reason, but I believe it's something which Laravel makes a remarkably awesome PHP, right? So it's a framework, so I highly suggest you learn if you're new still, right? Okay, so we have covered up something. I just want to show you real quick that we have our resources, and inside resources we have our topic, which we have where we have multiple pages, right? So if I want to cover up the views, and inside views I have layouts, and inside layouts I have master.blade.php, right? And that's where we have our whole structure for our HTML, right? And we added up the script which we already talked about. It's a very useful stack is a very useful helpful function in Laravel, which allows us that if we need to add our scripts and adding our scripts and want those scripts or JavaScript, whatever you run in script tags, that will run only for the particular file. So that's what the main benefit of using stack, right? So we can also add up the same, like we can add up the styles as well, right? And so this is our main structure. Inside home.blade.php, so far we do is we have covered a few things. We have the user underscore data, which we already talked about. Just I want to repeat that inside user underscore data, which is inside pages, as you can see that pages dot user underscore data, that means inside pages we have file with the user underscore data, and these are all the cards which are displayed on our home page and the links which give us the pagination, right? So that's what we have done so far, right? And next we have home.blade.php. We have our scripts running. We have some pagination. This script is for pagination, as well as once we click on it, this function runs and shows the data. And we also done more stuff which you can watch on my first video for all the data which we have displayed using database seeder, right? So let's jump into this topic first. So now the first thing I'm going to do here is, as you have seen that inside my includes I have 4 different files. One for the filters, which we are not using, which consist of all the options, right? And then we have the footer and the header, which is again a convention, right? It's no issue if you want to add up most of the things to to the in a single page, that makes sense, but it's a priority, and I also want to make sure you guys to learn about how to make your structure more elegant, right? And inside search.blade.php, in this file we have our search, right? So the first thing I'm gonna do inside here is to add up the ID for the search. So make sure that you have added up your ID, right? So next we have our user.php model. So I just want to do control P and type user.php if you are using Visual Studio Code. All right, so that's what the function where we have shown the get full name. As you've seen, very simple. I also explained that. Watch my video previous so you guys can understand better. All right, so here I have a very simple condition, right? So the condition is, let's start with the very first thing for this video. So I have a condition if, right? So I give it a variable with the name of search underscore keyword, right? And I am also passing this variable inside the get user, because what happened is that whatever we type here, this function passed the amount of characters that we type, which matches. It will this parameter will pass to the controller, and we can return the response, right? So that's how we are gonna work. So I just gave it the if there is a search keyword, and also make sure that that should not be empty. So I'm using a function, a very handy and very useful function, which is the empty function, and I put that same variable inside that. So if there is some search and it's not empty, so what I do is, we have already data coming from the users table, which has everything inside users, and I also say that where, and we pass up a function here and pass a parameter for a query, right? So this query, and use that search keyword. So I'm gonna use here, sorry, that should be not search keyword, that should be search keyword, right? So make sure that the spellings should be right. Okay, so now we have our records all variables all matching up, right? So if there is a we use as a query, and we use if there is using for the search keyword, right? So I'm gonna pass up here the all right, so one thing is not right up here is this where is fine, function query, use the search keyword. All right, and next we have to do is to put some semicolon right here. All right, so next I'm going to use as a query, and then I'm going to pass where. Now I already explained that I want to search on based of name, right? So we have two columns, first for the first name and second for the last name, right? I want to show you still, even you guys are familiar about the structure. So I'm going to go to my filter app, users, and inside users you see we have the first name and the last name, right? So I go real quick here and passed my users dot first name. All right, so I'm using a like, which is a very useful SQL query. So we pass something which matches, right? And I'm also using here percentages. So that means from the first until the last keyword, right? So if you are good in query, if you have no knowledge about database, you can watch my database video as well, given in the description. Sure. So I passed whatever it matches from the first name, and same case for my last name. So I'm gonna copy this, and now I cannot use where, right? So because I'm using another condition, right? So I'm using or where, right? So or where, and I passes up here users dot last name, right? And then I'm gonna pass here the like, which matches, and just grab this from the top, right? So I copied that and put some comma and passed right there. Okay, so that's, I believe it's cool and fine for now. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is to go to my controller, which I believe is home controller, right? So I go to home controller. All right, so here you see that we have our request for the query, but before doing that, I need to do is to right, so there we have all the get users coming from there, and I want to have my request. So I passed up a query and give a request, and we pass here search underscore query, right? And where does this coming from? So what I'm gonna do is to go to my home.blade.php, where we have to pass the response, right? So what I'm gonna do, just above we have our split the page function. I'm gonna pass here $#search, and this ID is coming from the search input type, right? So I wanna using here a keyboard event, which is key up until we don't releases it not give us any response. So I just use here a keyboard event for key up, and after that I'm gonna pass here a function, and inside that function I have a value. So whatever value we have, we are accessing using this keyword. So whatever I'm gonna type here, this gives me the value for it, right? And I'm gonna do is to definitely we need to pass it to the function, which is get more users, and pass the parameter for the page. All right, so this is gonna cover up this. Let's move this because this is the same function for it. So I'm gonna do is create a search, and whatever the search we have, so $#search and the value, and we have our whatever the data that we get. So I'm passing here a data, and the data is getting from search underscore query. So remember that this search underscore query is coming from the, when I use search underscore query, so I passed up inside my controller, right? So whatever the search we get, we pass it to the controller. So I'm gonna back to my home.blade.php. So we passed it as a data, and give it the search, and that search is coming from this variable, right? Whatever the value we passed up, it goes to the request, which is search underscore query. All right, and also put this comma, so make sure that everything works well. Okay, so we have the route, which is passing to the same function, and we have the data, right? So we are all done from this side. Now go back to the home controller, and here we have our search query, and we passed up the request, and as much as the request we are going to pass, and we have to pass this query inside this function, and we have to return the view, right? That's fine. Okay, now here you see we have the function with the name of $users. Now if I just want to go back and refresh this, this is gonna show us the error, and the reason why, too few arguments to function get user, 0 passed in. Now you see inside your model, which is user.php, already we passed up the one parameter and get user in, which is search underscore keyword. So all I'm gonna do here is to put this one blank parameter that makes sure that it matches up, right? And now if I go back and refresh this, and it loads up, and there should be no error. Let's have a see inside the console. All right, so now if I just try to search, let's suppose I'm gonna search here. This name is Gina Rowe, right? Whatever we pronounce. So let's search it through that. So before searching it, it shows up an error. It says uncaught reference error, page is not defined, right? Okay, so what I does here, I just put up here, where does it go? So we have to go inside the home.blade.php, and if I go back to, we have our home.blade. So I'm gonna pass up here, let's put 1 here and check this out. So I refresh this and put my comma and let's type here something. So I believe nothing matches up, it shows nothing. And let's type aviation here and see. So yeah, it's working. So that's perfect, right? So there you see it's only loading up a single card, right? Now if I refresh this and make this blank, it shows all the cards inside this on our very first page, right? Let's have a search this Curliuk, I believe, and if I search that, it shows up nothing. And let's see why it's not showing up. Close that out. I just want to remove this console log. So where does I do? So just remove that from here and refresh this. And I want to go to my controller. I passed up a query and search underscore query, which should be inside my home blade. So that matches up, and we pass up here a search which is coming from there. So let's do it again. Yeah, I think so. I should be this should be last name. Yeah, that's fine, right? So so just want to go through again. We have our search keyword, and if it's not empty search keyword, we have a function. We use a search keyword, and then we have our query where users dot first name should like, and we have our same case for the last name and like it, and if something which matches up, it shows up, right? And then paginate that. Let's have a look at again. I don't know, everything is smooth and fine. And type here AJAX. Yeah, it's fine, right? It's working, right? So Maxim, if I type here, actually I was looking for this email, right? So it was working. So it's Maxim, right? So Maxim dot Sipes, whatever we have here, we can easily search through it. So let's have a search through some more data. Let's have a search with this name, right? And if I just type up here, and you see Octavia, whatever you pronounce. So we are done with the search, right? So I hope you guys will love this complete phenomenal series for Laravel, and in the next video I'm gonna work for the select options, and you guys will learn more stuff about it. So please keep subscribing and like this video, and I want to see you in the next video.